guys, I'm Shaika and welcome back to our YouTube channel, The IBT, where we give you tips and tricks on how to ace your 2 years of the IB. So today we're going to be talking about one subject that most kids I think do choose to do in the IB, and that is IB physics. I did the IB in 2021, and out of the sciences I chose IB physics at an SL level, and today I'll be going through some tips and tricks to help you study for IB physics as well as help you with your IA. Personally, I will say for me that IB physics was one of those subjects that I did enjoy in high school very much, and as a result, I do think I did spend quite a bit of time studying for it, even though I was doing it at an SL level. And I probably should have spent that time focusing on my other HL subjects. Anyway, there were many things in my study routine that I look back at right now and I realize I should have done that differently, but I guess it all worked out in the end. But I remember when I started the IB, I would be fixated on taking really nice notes and noting down all the relevant examples we'd cover in class. And I realize now that that wasn't very efficient, as this was really time consuming and I was putting in all of this effort and not getting a lot out of it. And this brings me to a really important point. Make sure when you're studying for physics or even any other subject that you take, you're using active study methods. And I think I really want to say especially for physics. That 1,000-page IB physics textbook does not need to be beside you 24/7, especially if you're taking SL physics. While it is useful, your main source of study should not come from reading that textbook. There are only 3 exam papers in that subject, and there's probably like 11 pages in each one. They're not going to examine every single thing they write in that textbook. Which brings me to the first thing that we have to consider when studying for IB physics, and that is the 80-20 rule. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube talk about this, especially for physics, but this is important. And essentially, this means that the 20% of maximum effort you put in will give you 80% of the results. In SL physics, this means that focusing on the most important concepts and equations and practicing them until you can apply them in different concepts will help you in the exam to help you get that 7. Because the grade boundaries for IB physics at SL are notoriously low, such that you don't actually have to be getting a 90% or even an 80% in your papers in order to get a 7. Now, this does not mean getting a 7 in IB physics is easy. The paper and content are hard to grasp conceptually, and if you really do want to be getting a 7, you want to be spending that 20% of maximum effort really well towards understanding and hammering those foundational concepts. So your mechanics, measurements, and uncertainties are actually the building blocks for many of the physics topics that you cover in the IB, and also if you do plan to do some sort of physics or math related degree in university. And the best way you can hammer those concepts home is through active recall. So active recall involves actively engaging with that material that you're trying to learn, rather than just passively reading from a textbook or listening to it from YouTube. And this is based on the principle that in order to truly learn something, you need to be actively prepared and mentally alert to retrieve the information from your memory. So active recall can take many different forms depending on the type of material you're trying to learn. For IBSL physics, I do believe the best way to do this is through doing past exam paper questions. Now, in year 1, you do not need to be doing like 50 questions every day or something. I don't even think there are that many questions in an IB question bank to supply you to do 50 questions in the past 2 years. But maybe doing like 5 or 6 a week just to consolidate that knowledge that you've learned in the past week is very, very helpful. I remember when I was doing the IB, my IB physics teacher would do this amazing thing, and he would give me like a little booklet of questions based on the topic we just cover in class, and I would do those questions over the weekend, and I'd come back that Monday and we'd go through the answers of that question. And I do feel that really did help me in understanding those concepts and remembering them in second year. But Yeah, as a result, I kind of did make it a habit to like find IB question banks that were organized by topic or subtopic, because then it was really easy to find questions on a subtopic I didn't understand and then do questions on it until I finally did understand that topic. And that was also very helpful when it came to revision, because then I did adopt a similar approach. Now, the next study technique is spaced repetition. And man, if there was something I would tell high school Shaika on how to study, it would be this. Spaced repetition basically is a learning technique that involves revisiting the material at like regular intervals to help you cement it in your memory. And this really helps you in second year when you have to be aware and you have to learn all the content from in the past 2 years. By spacing out your revision session concepts and repeating the material over time, you can actually strengthen your long-term memory of concepts such as mechanics and circular motion and measurements and uncertainties. And you have no idea how much I wish I did this in high school, because trust me, it will make your life so much easier come like year 2 of the IB, when you realize you don't actually remember anything from year 1, and now you have to relearn quite literally everything before your mocks. And like the past papers, this does not have to be a hardcore serious effort or anything. Like honestly, if you spend like 30 minutes on the weekend looking at previous content, I think you should be okay. Okay, so how do you actually revise your content for physics? Like I've said before, everyone studies differently, but it's important that you're not passive about your study. You want to be as active as you possibly can. Especially for physics, writing down notes on things you already know isn't actually going to help you for your exam. You do not need to rewrite force equals mass times acceleration on every new notebook that you get. One thing I would definitely recommend is before you even start revising, take your copy of the IB physics syllabus. If you don't have a copy of the IB physics syllabus, get a copy of the IB physics syllabus. I can attach one down in the YouTube description below, or you could get it from your IB physics teacher. But what you do, you get that IB syllabus and you go through and read through every single subtopic and highlight with as many different colors as you can, usually 3. You can use the traffic light system, and red's for what you don't know at all, yellow is for I'm not too sure, but I think I need to review this content, and green is yep, I definitely know this content. And you read through each subtopic and you highlight the subtopics that you know, that you're not sure of, and that you don't know. For the subtopics that you don't know or you're not confident with, I definitely suggest going back and actually relearning that content. There are many channels on YouTube that do a really good job at explaining those. So you don't actually want to be spending your time, especially in year 2, trying to like get lecture content or trying to relearn content from your teacher or your tutor, because that is very possible to do that in your own time. So what I would do is I would watch those YouTube videos and I would somewhat understand the content. If I still don't understand the content, by all means, go to your teacher, go to your tutor and be like, I don't know what's going on, help me. But yeah, once I watch those videos and kind of understand the content, I try to do as many past paper questions as I possibly can on that subtopic. And when I reach a question that I don't really understand, and you will reach lots of questions in physics that you won't understand, or a question that I got wrong and I still can't like seem to wrap my head around why I got it wrong, I collate those questions and then I go to my tutor or my physics teacher and I work through those questions. Usually then, if we both realize that there is a gap in my learning and that's why I'm getting these questions wrong, we take a step back and we relearn that content and we go through that content so that when I do those questions again, I don't make the same mistake. And I think that is what IB physics is that when you're studying, you're gonna come across questions and you're gonna make lots and lots of mistakes, and it's actually those mistakes that you keep doing again and again and again, or all the things that you get wrong, that help you get that 7 at the end of the day. Because the more you practice those questions, the more you're making either physical notes, which I do recommend, or mental notes of the things you're getting wrong, so that when you go into the exam, or you go into your mocks, or you go into your assessments, when you see a question like that, your brain's already on autopilot mode, so you kind of have the muscle memory of doing that type of question before, and that, I guess, ultimately makes you understand the concepts a lot better. Yeah guys, that's the end of the video. Hope this helped you and gave you some tips on how to study for physics. Like I said, I will definitely go in depth with the IA, but yeah, until next time, see you guys.